We're going to talk about the media, and I mean, so it's always a hard thing because a lot of times we think that we know. You're like, oh yeah, of course the media is biased and it's liberal and it's this and it's that, but I don't think we have a good grasp on how in depth it is, and we don't have a good grasp on how to explain it to other people. So I want to go over it more, so that way we all can explain it, we all understand it better, so we can explain it better, as well as being able to distinguish and recognize that it's not just the quote unquote left-wing media, that the connections to conservative talk radio, so-called conservative talk radio, and so-called conservative media is a part of this as well, and how it's a part of it, and what that means for us. And so I want us to better understand that, so for both reasons, so that we can be inoculated against it, as well as better explain it to other people to help more people to be able to know what this means. And so probably a lot of you have seen this video that really goes and it really illustrates very clearly and very quickly how the narrative works and how it's so well connected. So I want to show this video.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling, irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 So not only is it biased towards a certain direction, but it's literally the same exact script and we don't notice it because it's on all these different cities. But you saw one of them was Utah's local CBS station was engaged in the same thing. And so because we have this corporate media feeding lines, and even though even if not every single news reader is a part of the conspiracy, A, they're script readers, and B, they know who's safe, who is going to say the things that they want said, or who is not going to go off script. And so we can see this is nationally where they're able to control the narrative in every local news, let alone national news, Fox, CNN, ABC, etc., but all the way down to the local corporate. And so we have the controlled narrative from the corporations, but we also have the government using the media to run propaganda as news stories. And this actually came out in a question and answer session at the White House.
Mr. President, earlier this year you told us you had ordered your administration to cease and desist on payments to journalists to promote your agenda. You cited the need for ethical concerns and the need for a bright line between the press and the government. Your administration continues to make the use of video news releases, which are prepackaged news stories sent to television stations, fully aware that some or many of these stations will air them without any disclaimer that they are produced by the government. Comptroller General of the United States this week said that raises ethical questions. Does it raise ethical questions about the use of government money to produce stories about the government that wind up being aired with no disclosure that they were produced by the government?
There is a Justice Department opinion that says these pieces are within the law so long as they're based upon facts, not advocacy. And I expect our agencies to adhere to that ruling, to that Justice Department opinion. This has been a long-standing practice of the federal government to use these types of videos. The Defense Department, other departments have been doing so. It's important that they be based upon the guidelines set out by the Justice Department. Now, I think it'd be helpful if local stations then disclose to their viewers if that's, that this was based upon a factual report and they chose to use it. But evidently in some cases that's not the case. So anyway.
To guarantee that's happening by including that language in the prepackaged report.
Yeah, I don't, look, oh, you mean a disclosure? I'm George W. Bush and I...
Well, some way to make sure it couldn't air without the disclosure that you believe is so vital.
Ken, I mean, there's a procedure that we're going to follow, and the local stations ought to, if there's a deep concern about that, ought to tell their viewers what they're watching.
So he's admitting that the government is producing materials and that the stations are running them as quote unquote news stories. And of course, he deflects it onto, basically he's gaslighting, deflecting it onto the news stations. He said, well, if they find that that's an issue, then they should put a disclaimer on it. And so they are in cooperation with the media. There is no separation between the media and the government in promoting in promoting this propaganda. And so we see here the State Department that was mentioned by former President Bush, talking about disarming disinformation, our shared responsibility. And we have here a quote from Biden. He says, "There is truth and there are lies, lies told for power and for profit. And each of us has a duty and responsibility as citizens, as Americans, and especially as leaders who have pledged to honor our Constitution and to protect our nation, to defend the truth and to defeat lies." I mean, it's ironic, but at the same time, he's putting out there this idea that the government has a role in telling you what the truth is or what the truth isn't, when, of course, the First Amendment says that Congress is not allowed to be involved in, government, the Congress specifically, but of course, they're the ones that supposed to make the laws. But now we have every branch of government making laws. That is not any proper role of government to tell the people what the truth is and what the truth is not. And so you go on to, this is a key point here in this report or this article that's on the Department of State's website, where they want to focus this on. Disinformation is one of the Kremlin's most important and far-reaching weapons. Russia has operationalized the concept of perpetual adversary competition in the information environment by encouraging the development of a disinformation and propaganda system. I won't read the whole thing. The point is they're trying to blame Russia for the lies, all of this so-called disinformation, meaning questioning what the government's doing. They're all going to blame, it's going to be on a foreign entity because that helps them to be able to make a boogeyman out of anybody questioning the government. Be like, oh, that's a foreign government trying to make you question us. And so that way you're like, oh my goodness, I've got to be patriotic. I don't want to question the government because then I'm falling for this foreign enemy that's trying to trick me into questioning my government. And we want to remember this part for a little bit later. So you have the government right here producing this material to try and put out the talking points of what need to be followed. And we're going to see how these talking points are used far and wide by government and media to be able to keep people on the reservation on the approved narrative that's out there.